sorry, I was trying to show you this. Yeah, I'm sorry. Hello, how are you doing today? My name is Arash Shahyari. I'm a Chinese American entrepreneur. I live in Afghanistan or Afghanistan. Sometimes I travel to China and South Korea for production management team. Yeah. Okay, so today is January 24th or 5th, I'm not sure, 2019. I am in Florida. Just giving you, some kind of demographics in case you need to find me, so.
I know you're looking for me. Don't even try, but if you do try, it'll be only your last try, so make it the best you can.
Okay, so, this is not a new topic, obviously, and I'm not necessarily a genius to figure this thing out, but I was looking forward to find a time to try to talk about this, but it seems like it's just so hard to find time. So as usual, given that I happen to be sitting somewhere and feel like I ain't got no shit to do, I wanted to talk about it. So, I want to talk about how it's so easy for immigrants that they come to America, they get sucked into the American whole, if you will, wealth obsessed and infatuated system. They get sucked in where they just lose it, and they just, and it's amazing. And you don't have to be necessarily a foreigner or an immigrant from a poor country to fall for that. It happens to everybody, how do you say that? But here's the thing about it, I was giving this a little bit of thought a few days ago, and I saw this, if you will, a pattern that is very interestingly, is pervasive, and it stands out. And if you look at it, you have two extremes in this world where, typically speaking, you have wealthy countries that not only they're financially together, also they have a good civil code, as well as, good human rights and freedom of speech and so forth. Lifestyle. And you have all other people from the rest of the world who basically, they just don't have any of those things. Oh yeah, in addition, the most important, where sexuality more or less is very, very open and freely practiced. That is the thing about it. That you might find it a little bit, I'm not talking about other people and other countries. I'm speaking about myself. See, I'm from Iran, and I came here when I was 17. I came here in year 2002. And to that day, I hate to say this, but based on a lot of things that I saw and heard, to me, if you were to tell me about pornography or which country in the world is most sexual and shit like that, I would just be point finger to US and be like, oh yeah, America. And I have never actually traveled to any European country as much as I want to, and I want it. But as time that I spent here in America, and hearsay I've heard from other people, as well as different stories and a lot of things that I read and see online, videos, so forth, is that, matter of fact, if you think about it, Europe is much more sexually, should I use that word, liberated, or actually rather programmed? I don't know, is it good or bad? I think balance at the end of the day is the key word, but that's another story. No, like, I remember, like, I saw this ad or this, it was either a picture or it was actually like a, article that, like, showed, like, the phone booth in London or generally in UK where literally just packed and filled with a bunch of posters and, like, the escorts. Yeah, a bunch of, uh, ladies in very lovely clothes have put their picture and their phone number there and be like, what's up? You got a phone, bro? Here's your chance. Shit, here's the number too. Make the magic happen, bro. Do not miss the chance, the one-time opportunity. The won't last forever. And ever. And never. What? Huh? I'm trying to make my sex tape. This is the foreplay, so bear with me. Yeah, I'm doing it in my own self. Would you call it the sex chat or something? Yeah. So anyways, moving on. Whatever, I changed my glasses, so in case you didn't notice, just wanted to let you know. And if I can make anybody jealous. So anyways, moving on. How do you say that? So yeah, you know what? You have this black and white picture in this world. In the rest of the world, through means of basically self-belief, matter of fact, that is, really trying so hard by the whole piety of it, using religion and trying to perpetuate religious thoughts and mentalities in people's minds. You have this strong image of, or shadow of, all these conservative, or rather really the other side of the spectrum, extreme image imposed on these poor countries that, matter of fact, before anybody else want to say it, you kind of believe it yourself. You're like, oh no, I don't want anybody in my country to be dressed anything less than what I think is appropriate. I want them to be fully covered. That is so fucking wrong. If a woman, like, exposes her body in some ways, which partially I even agree myself, but that's not for religious reasons. Now, really, at the end of the day, it's not really a matter about religion or not. It's about mentality. Now, here's the thing. So, you have 4 primary things here that, if you will, they all kind of reflect really the human's hierarchy of needs anyways. Like, number 1, like money, in terms of covering your basic needs and your primary needs, like food, shelter, clothes, and things of that nature. And the next thing is become your extended, secondary needs, which involve, perhaps need for entertainment, music, sexuality, things of that nature. Having social rights, being also protection in terms of social structure and so forth. And so you have 4 things. You have money, you have freedom, speech, and so forth, and you have a good legal code that protects you, and it stands for all citizens. And number 4, yes, believe it or not, the hottest topic to some people, believe it or not, sex and sexuality. So how do you say this? Then you have these 4 things, and it's just a black and white image where if you go to those countries, you just don't see, or minimally see, any of that shit. Now, this is a part that really interests you when I think about it, is that it makes you wonder, like, why is that? Is this just some kind of pure structure? Like, is it like, the people who don't want to sell their soul to the devil, that is the West, they don't want to adopt this whole system, which you're like, okay, well, you don't have to really go with the sexual part, but maybe it's good if you have a good economy, a good legal code which stands for everybody, and third, like freedom of speech, freedom of expressions, things of that nature, if you will, civil rights, basically. Sexuality, you can have it more or less in your private place. But food, it's not about inside or outside. You gotta have it. It doesn't have to be geographically or location oriented, basically. You know what I'm saying? Or, civil rights. You want to have protection within your own house, domestically speaking, against your people you live with or people coming from outside, whether you're in a society. Same thing as freedom of speech. You don't want to be bounded by anything like, oh, if I live in my parents' house, I can't talk shit about Trump, or I can't talk shit about Obama, or I can't talk shit about Hassan Hussein. But once I'm outside, I can. Reminds me of which I was in George Mason University, and that was my junior year. This goes back to 2000. I never forget it. That was the onset of the Iraq War. And I was so pained by the whole thing that is happening there. I was like, you know what? Oh, and they had a freak mic night. So yeah, I'm sorry, that's not it. And I saw like people basically go on to the podium and they start talking about random things that they find interesting. I was like, you know what? I know people are here for entertainment. They really don't want to hear that shit. But that's my responsibility and what I have to do, at least partially on my side, to try to hopefully awaken some souls here in this land of evil where people feel more uncomfortable to drive a big ass car. But what? Why do I need to care about? Fuck with the Iraq, man. Seriously, why would I need to care about that dude, the homeless guy standing on the street? Obviously, he's a fucking criminal. He deserves that kind of lifestyle to begin with. He's an alcoholic, criminal, drug addict, rapist, sex offender, whatever damn shit you want to call it. He deserves it. Number two, not my business. Number three, I pay my taxes. Okay, well, obviously your taxes are not doing that well. That's one thing. I mean, if your taxes were doing some work, why would that nigger, excuse me, if you really want to put him down like that dude would be on the street, This guy that you consider him a total thug one way or another, why would be on the street? Okay. And I was like, you know what, I approached the dude who was like kind of coordinating things, and I said, hey, you know what, I want to have an open mic and I want to talk to someone. And I don't remember if he asked me what exactly I want to talk about, but I think really, really is sufficient enough just by him looking at my face and the fact that I'm like Middle Eastern sort of. He was like, oh, you know what, you can say that in an open free area which is outside. So literally he said, I can't do that. It's an open mic, but sorry, what makes you think maybe you also included this whole free thing, my friend? You don't look like us. We don't like you, and we don't like you look like you either. Why we should be in the same room together anyways? You should be happy we let you come here study, you son of a dragon. Okay? Please don't make money go finance terrorist people. Just because we pay taxes to the US government to bomb your people, that doesn't mean you should do the same thing to us, okay? Okay, I'm sorry. I keep that in mind. Thank you. So yeah, he said to me, go outside. And I said, well, there's a hell of a freedom in this country you got. And you know what? It's not really about a color or skin or the fact that like I look Middle Eastern or something. I can tell you, like, there's something about humans, like if nothing else, they have a great sense of psychology. Like, I think for the most part, if they can sense that you're gonna say something that by somehow it's not in their interest or they don't support it, it challenges them, they feel more than quick to be like, oh, no, you can't do it. It's just they can tell by just looking in your face. It's like, oh, I know what this is about. I don't want to like go there. I don't want to cover that kind of topic. This is the thing. This was year 2007. So this was a story back then. But anyways, let's just keep, as usual, trying to stay focused on a topic. Now, my brothers and my sisters and all the rest, what I want trying to tell you is that this is not a coincidence, my brothers and sisters. This is the fact that I tell you what's going on. This is a fucking pure programming in the society, okay? This is what it is. You deprive people of other countries of all these things that they really need to make a life for them to stay together. So you leave them so hungry, drained and exhausted and deprived, and so strongly, this strong sense that they want to pursue that and they want to get their hands on it. Listen, man, believe it or not, man, I'm not talking about other people. I'm talking about my own very self, man. I'm 34 years old for my own personal choices, okay? I'm a fucking virgin. That's another story. But me wanting to be a virgin doesn't cut down on my hormones. That's one thing about my body. My body's not going to be, oh, RS just decided that he wants to stay a virgin until supposedly he gets married or be with someone that he considers that he loves, and that feels great. So, yeah, call the control room and tell them to cut down on the sex hormones productions. No, it doesn't work like that. So I'm fucking nuts, man. You know, like, nuts, I mean, you know, I guess just like any random man, and precisely same thing stands with bitches also. You know, I would love to fucking, yeah, get what I can. So what I'm trying to tell you is that if you think about it, so you deprive these people from all these things in the name of their holiness, in the name of their own, basically, their own sake and welfare, and basically their own benefits. And then, number one, speaking of the porn industry, for instance, which is a product that, number one, fucks your brains out. Number two, you don't have to have people come to America to experience it, or come to those advanced, developed countries to experience it. You can just produce it and sell it out, and it will do the work. Yeah, people buy it. So all these fucking men and women who supposedly they're all like, oh my god, we love to be pious and we don't believe, you know, we think relationship between a man and woman, and matter of fact, I'm married, I'm not married, whatever. Speaking of very few people that I know that they were married, blah blah blah, so forth, they were all doing one thing. They all had a good collection of US European made porn, and they kept it in a secret place. And I wonder even the bitches used to do that too. It's just that they were really more like secretive about it. Excuse me. Yeah, something died in here. So, something. I said, okay, man, don't get the crazy idea. So, and then, so that's how you make money off of that. And then you leave people so hungry for all these things. For financial welfare, for entertainment, for enjoying themselves, for glory, for a affluent life and so forth, and having the means of enjoying themselves and having something that everybody should be entitled to, like having a good car, a good house, a sufficient lot of money to provide not only your basic needs, but spend on other things that you deem as necessity for you. So you have like that, and then guess what? When these people come to America, they're like, they're just unleashed. They want to work their ass off, do whatever they can to fucking pile up, and what's the word for it? They can accumulate as much money, wealth they can, or whatever plan they can come up with to make themselves richer, basically, so they can enjoy themselves. Now, you know, believe it or not, these very same people, they have to remain and maintain their mind, because that's something that you actually need to make good business decisions and make a successful business, I guess. Yeah, But so one way or another, not all of them, but a lot of them get sucked into this whole thing. They become sexually very open. They splurge money on crazy things. They want to disassociate themselves with people that they find is not their type, at their own level, basically, one way or another. Oh yeah, and it goes deeper and deeper. So yeah, there's a lot of things surrounding that, and probably you don't even want to think about it because it hurts so bad. So you're depriving these people. What I'm trying to tell you, this is what I'm trying to get at. You wonder why foreigners that come here, they turn to be either the exact version of Americans, or even, all frankness, even worse than a typical American. It's not all Americans are wealthy. Yes, sure, you have some privileges by being born here. That is, from the very first day of your birth, you have this opportunity to fucking freely, without making an effort, once you turn 15, 16, I don't know what the thing is, you can go get a job, get yourself started on some career path, you go to school, you don't have to hustle, you don't have to prove yourself to anybody, you don't have to crush yourself in front of any immigration officer trying to ask like a pussy, or maybe return some favor or something, or trying to act of like you're a certain person or whatever, or give some lies perhaps even. A lot of things that later on, believe it or not, speaking of that whole fucking programming, they kick in, and in some ways you have this image of yourself and so forth, you're thinking of yourself even in a criminal way perhaps, things like that, for no reason, criminal in front of what? Who are you talking about? The American government? The British colonies? These European power? They have no human records other than a bunch of genocide and so forth against others. Why do you need to feel shitty about something that maybe happened to you in your life, and you did, maybe, if there's such a thing, that now they're asking the question for you? Like, let's just say, speak of all other shit, not, like, we're not talking about criminal stuff, like, like, when you want to, and I'm talking about America, I don't know about other countries. Once you want to get a visa for US, there's a question on the visa application. It says, do you support communism? Do you believe in communist ideologies? Do you believe in that? Yeah, maybe. I don't know, man. Okay. Okay. Well, in that case, you know what? I'm not sure if you can come to America, brother. Come back another 2 years. Maybe your mind will change. We'd like to know, maybe you made some improvements in your life. Maybe the transformation will be completed. Yeah, so, believe it or not, these things count. A lot of people might say this, might be like, dude, what is your fucking problem? Just like today, where, like, just like getting the American passport. For me, well, not now, because I've been living in this country for 16 years now, and I left US for I traveled to Iran. I was traveling. I said this before. I don't know if you guys. Anyways, my passport got damaged, and I wasn't able to make it back to U.S. again. When I went to the embassy to U.S., this fucking shitty compound that they have. Can you believe it, man? Speaking of bullshit, man. Sick people are everywhere. Like this U.S. embassy in Tbilisi, Georgia, is like a military base. Like the dudes who are like fucking there, they actually dress like soldiers. They're not like security. That's not what it is. And one of those jackasses. Oh my god! I went to that embassy for like 3, 4, 5 times to do my work. Basically, I was trying to get a travel document so I can come back to US, and they told me, I'm just saying, the answer was that your passport is damaged. We can't put a travel document inside it, so you have to go get a new passport. So by the time I came back, it was beyond 1 year, which ended up I have to reapply for that whole thing. That's how I know about the visa requirement that I'm just mentioning, because I had to go through this myself. But anyways, I will get back to the main thought I was trying to tell you, and this is not a pretty thing to talk about. Devil's everywhere. And I mean everywhere, like, and people, it's like they I don't know how to say it. Either they've been basically taught, scripted, however you want to say it, or they feel so comfortable basically violating you. So, hey, I don't know, man. It's just such a stupid thing, I put some thing in a trash can, and all of a sudden I saw some dude was like he was a security guard. He was there and was staring at me. And next thing you know, they come around and they go check the trash can, and they come back to me and called a couple of the other people. So he was telling me that, oh, you shouldn't, number one, no, so he said, yeah, he thought, I put something in a trash can, which is like kind of, like, if it's not even within the compound, it just happens to be like, there was a bus stop or something, I don't know, it was like a shop right next to it, basically, I don't know. So the dude, the son of an evil, was a Georgian guy, and he thinks he's a very smart man. His whole time he has his smile on. He's like, oh yes, you're a good fucking jackass. Or yeah, I give you a lot of A+. We live in a very awful world, man. I mean, this is like a serious shit, man. Like, I don't even know how to say it. Like, you just have to be able to take advantage of the positive cards that you have and get what you want and do things that way. That's really like that. I mean, you have to be just smart to see what are the things, that opportunity that they created for you because of the very system that is supporting their wealth and their welfare, and try to play the cards like that. Otherwise, this is a world of evil, man. Like, I can tell you, I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I've visited in other countries, and this is the thing that I'm trying to tell you. So this is one thing, and there was this dude who was actually, he was another Georgian guy who was inside of me. He was telling me when I was sitting in the waiting area within the compound, in the embassy, he told me don't sit in near that area towards the end of the thing. I said, why? He said, no, just don't sit there. And I said to the people over at the counter, and they were two fucking jackass, Americans, and but totally like passive mounted, like blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay, I'll tell my supervisor. Okay, baby. Okay, all right, cool, man, no problem. All right, I'll tell my supervisor too, man. I'll tell my people to talk to your evil people. Yeah, let's have the evils meet. So moving on. Yeah, so I'm just trying to tell you, like, here, America. Now, after that incident, like, I have to wait another year and a half technically to have that 3-year time frame to get the American passport if I want to. You see what I'm saying? But prior to this incident that I left 3 years ago, like, I had all the requirements. Like, all I had to do is just, like, show up there, fill out the application. Matter of fact, if you guys, I don't know if there's such a thing, if you can get a loan to pay for the application fee for get a citizenship, the naturalization, and how do you say that? And yeah, you just go to the interview, and I can anyways, you know what I'm trying to get. But that's the thing. So a lot of people might be just following on what I just told you, is that, for me, this is a big deal because, if I believe in socialism. I don't believe in communism, at least in a way that purely it was, well, let's just be to the point. I like communism. I like the idea of communism, but I think, I'm not sure how to say it in its pure way, that is, that not a way that it was implemented, matter of fact, by many countries, primarily speaking the Soviets, the Russians, and China, and Vietnam, perhaps, these things like that. So it's a very elaborate subject to talk about, but I do believe in a sense of socialism as a combined system, capitalist socialist system. That is, if you capitalist communist system, it's just all about the way you implement it. I think there should be speaking of the very fact that, matter of fact, it supports the economic concepts. That is, you're not necessarily sacrificing anything here. A lot of people, I have plenty of time that I can talk about this thing, but to me, if I see, I don't want to make a statement that is not true. Maybe back then I wasn't sure about what communism, how I relate to that. This is like 2 years ago almost, so I just put down no. But if I were a communist and I did believe in communism, and you asked me a question, do you believe in communism? Well, two things, number one, to come to my head is, okay, number one, why the fuck I need to tell this guy, who the fuck are you to ask me, and whatever, that's number one. So I'm not sure should I really answer you the way I want to or not. Number two, if I were to answer correctly, I would be like, you know what, this is too hard for me. Like, it just feels like, I'm really putting myself down because, somebody's supposed to grant me entry to another country where I would have some better measures of life quality, perhaps, consider like compared to here to Georgia. When I was in Georgia, life for me was really in many ways bad. Like, that's like a really, speaking of, like, it's funny, like all those countries, especially it's just a global thing, it's a universal thing, it's not limited to a certain geographic location. But speaking of, like, from my own background, like Iran, where a lot of people sort of are conservative, and everybody thinks, oh, Iran is blah 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 blah, yeah, women have to cover their hair, and everybody had this very extreme image of Iran as oh my god, they just totally relate to women, and nobody has rights, it's awful, state of, theocracy sort of thing. Yes, this all more or less is true. But here's the thing, the image in countries surrounding Iran that in your belief system, they kind of resemble like the Western side, like Turkey, Georgia, so forth, countries like the former Soviet Union, even surrounding this area and extended whole that region, there were, yeah, I mean, okay, as a female, you can maybe even go around naked. You could potentially, perhaps, I don't know about the laws specific to each country in the world, but I know that, I've been to Turkey, I've been to Georgia, for instance. These countries, Turkey is an Islamic country, but more like okay, we pick and choose what we want to say, we are Muslim. Now, so as a female, you can dress very openly, and everybody's cool about it, at least within, like, major cities, Istanbul, or, Ankara, perhaps, big-ass cities, perhaps. If you go, like, really those small communities or villages, and perhaps you will see a very solid, different image where, it could potentially, outside the legality of it, it could be heavily frowned upon. You could get beaten up by your daddy or your brother or some random stranger on the street even, and nobody gives a shit about it. They think, oh, she totally deserves it because she was dressing like a slut, you know what I'm saying? And everybody would be just so passive about it. So I don't know about those places, because I did go to other cities, and for the most part, I say it's a very conservative, where everybody, the females, Turkish women, generally speaking, they have this very, like a really solid cover over their face, and very moderate. I actually liked it, honestly, because I believe in modesty, and I do. I don't think you necessarily have to cover your head or anything like that. No, that's bullshit, but his modesty, it's not about hair. I don't know, this hair, I'm sorry, I don't relate to it. If you're wearing a headscarf as a female or not, doesn't mean my dick goes shorter or longer. If this is what you want to get at, it's not. If I see some woman without a hair scarf, it's like, oh my god, I'm sorry, I can't help myself, I gotta have some intimate moment with you, or minutes or hours with you. That's not what it is. That maybe to other men doesn't do it to me. So yeah, those countries, yes, in that sense, if this is the, people stupid, they believe their brain is in their eyes, basically. If this is what you think, those countries are so fucked up, man. Georgia, Turkey, all these countries, man, fucked, purely fucked, man. Matter of fact, I'll tell you, man, even like this today that I'm talking to you right now, in the last 2 years, based on many things that I've heard from within Iran has radically changed. like radically, like economy has gone down, like people are so discontent with the government, so forth. Nobody has tolerance for anybody. A lot of easily, perhaps, whether it's a verbal fight or aggression or so forth, a lot of shit can happen. But even today, I can tell you, Iran by far is a much more better place in terms of life quality. Because in Iran, nobody gives a shit about anything. Like, I'm not saying they don't give a shit. Okay, they give a shit if you talk about shit about the government. See, this is the Iranian system that's been around for 3,000 years. Don't fucking engage yourself with the government. Do whatever you want to do. Matter of fact, I'm a minority, I'm a Zoroastrian. You can drink alcohol within your own house. You can make alcohol. You can fucking, when the first years of revolution, this was not the case. Like my mom, she told me she actually got arrested and she went to like some detention center for a few days because they had alcohol and subsequent days after the revolution, perhaps. So back then everybody was more or less in that whole culture with like wine, and wine is like a staple of the Persian household, as it been for thousands of years. I mean, Persians, they invented the wine. It's just like something that you gotta have. It wasn't like necessarily a hard liquor, but it was like wine is not. It's like rather a sacred thing. It's not just like something drink to get drunk off of it. That's not what it is. Anyways, but speaking a few years forward, fast forward, especially as a Jewish, even Muslim, whoever, drink, whatever. Yeah, if you can get your hands on it and you can keep it quiet enough, man, sure, drink it. Don't just make a scenery out of it, okay? Don't show up on the fucking street with the bottles. Yeah, something you can obviously do in America, right? So speaking of how much freedom we have in that department, yeah, that's definitely one thing you want to do with a bottle of alcohol showing up. Yo, what's up? How you doing, man? Yo, you want some, bro? Yeah, sure, man. Let's do it, man. Let's party. Let's get party started. Yay! Hey! Shit. Yeah, so how the fuck do you say this shit, man? So yeah, man, Iran is good. Especially, this is a huge thing, man. In Turkey, man, if you're female, you don't have much rights. I'm telling you. I saw so many times women getting beaten up in their house, and I've heard of them. Like one time I was sitting in a cafe, in an internet cafe, and I heard a woman crying. Like, this happened in Iran, I can tell you for 9 out of 10, like, people would be definitely alarmed. Like, people would be alarmed. They were like, what the hell is going on? Like, is a woman crying? Like, I don't know what her problem is. Is she getting assaulted? Is she getting, talked to? Basically, she's being, her feelings getting hurt. Is she poor? Is she have pain? What the F is going on here? Let's find out what is going on over here. It's not something that, anybody would be passive about it. Hell no, man. There ain't no such a thing. No, there's no such a thing. Especially if it's like more like a public thing, But, in Turkey and Georgia especially, I'm not saying people do that, but I've seen some ugly things and I saw before, and for the most part, it's just like, it's not our business. It's her boyfriend, her husband, whatever the damn shit is, for the most part. And I saw this so many times, I swear my mother. I'm not saying every Turk. As a matter of fact, Turks, especially when it comes, and Turks and Georgians and, Iranians, generally speaking, when it comes to their children and their wives, generally speaking, they're actually more on the milder side. If it comes to a fight, like Turks and Georgians, like, they're uptight about fighting with men. But when it comes to their children and when it comes to their mates, their female mates, so forth, they're all of a sudden, they're very soft, for the most part. But like one time, like it was late at night, I remember I was in that area in Istanbul, Beyazit, Sultan Ahmed. Yeah, it's like right after the Kennedy Boulevard, where there's a lot of shops. It's what they call a balıkçılık. It's like basically across from. There's a lot of seafood restaurants there, and there's every night is a big whole like a party where a lot of people go there for having parties and so forth. Anyway, so one late at night there was this guy who was just there. Well, they were beating both each other up. There was a girl and there was a guy. She was like slapping him, and he was like returning it. He wasn't like really, what do you say? He was not basically falling. I don't know what you say in English, like so he was returning the thing too, and I was looking at it, and I'm sorry, I'm programmed too, if you want to say. So yeah, I was like, I can see the bitches like beating him up, slapping him, and she's like, but that's another thing when you see a guy, putting their hands on a woman. I was like, so there were 3-4 other guys were sitting there in a park, and they were just right, like literally, the park was next to the whole complex of the restaurants and so forth. And I saw them, and I was like, dude, y'all niggers, man, this motherfuckers keep putting his hands on this dude. Come on, man, do something about it. Say something. And they came and they looked, and they just passed him, and 3-4 times passed. After the 4th time, I say, okay, some voice came out. Finally, the Turkish guy goes there and says, dude, what you doing, man? What's going on? And that dude is like, it's none of your business. It's like, okay, no, you can't do this shit and stop doing it. And they got a taxi. The dude got a taxi with a chick. They jumped in the taxi and they left. And I don't know what happened afterwards. All I know is that, this is not something that in Iran can happen. You can't tell somebody, maybe in your own house, and if you can keep it quiet, if there's such a thing, in an isolated place, and afterwards your woman, she's silent about it, she won't go talking about it, she won't call on you, she won't do anything about it. But if it's something that people can hear, especially in public, really speaking, outside your own house especially, like, you can't put your hands on a woman. Like, I don't care what's going on, like, you can't even have an argument with a female. Sure, she's your wife, she's your, well, we don't have such things as really girlfriend, she's your sister, she's your mother, she's your grandma. No, you can't do that. No, people will definitely, one way or another, try to make you realize that, you need to watch your behavior, or you're gonna get some, treats. You will face some, reaction or some consequences here. That's a simple way of saying it. Maybe they're very silent about it, matter of fact, but better than anybody else how the culture is. Everybody's silent so far. Whatever you're saying to that chick is just more like on a verbal level. The second you want to become a little aggressive, you will see some people getting close and approaching you and start, and trying to intervene and, matter of fact, put you down, Anyways, moving up, man. I don't want to give this so much a thought, but this is the thing, man. So we need to close the gap in this world. This is the key word. And speak of communism, you see, and I want to say this one final thing. See, I took some economic classes, and there's a theory that basically says, economics, like everything else, is more like a cycle. And if you get to that most optimal level, there's a chance that at some point you're heading for recession. So there's a climax, and at some point, if you hit that far, you could fall down and everything would be fucked up. So the economic benchmark in a supposedly more or less an economy that is good is more, maybe in some ways, inhibited. Even though the system's free, there are some barriers of entry. Some ways or another is trying to hold it down, basically. And this totally goes in line with it, because when there's a sense of communism, speaking of like a banking system, when people are there for each other and they're trying to care for each other and provide each other, and everybody gets a share of the society, maybe you don't have that much a need to go and show up at the bank and be like, hey, excuse me, can you give me a mortgage? Can you give me a loan for my car? I want to buy a new kid. So you might be like, the whole banking system is sort of going down or so forth. And so, no, it's not going to go down. Those big people were coming from other projects and stuff like that, number two. But you're definitely inhibited. So it's not necessarily that awful. It's not a good thing, but it's not necessarily that awful thing. And it's really about the implementation of it. Like I said, I don't believe in that sense of like communism, which kind of like capitalism the way it is, that is actually a manipulation. It was not meant to fulfill people. Neither system is meant to fulfill people. It's really meant to make the top percent richer, while you getting some perceived value and thought, you're like, okay, I'm drinking my ass, I have my liquor, I got my fucking pussy. As long as I can pay for that bitch, I get to fuck her, at least, so all I have to do is just suck on my, not me, you just have to suck on your boss's dick so you get your paycheck, and once that thing is over, then you can go to a club, bar, whatever that is, yeah, get your shit out and drink your ass off and go back to work on Monday. That's what it is. Well, see, this is the thing, then again, as an American, you might be like, I don't know what you're talking about, but believe it or not, in many countries in the world, this is a very affluent thing. You can't have that kind of system, you can't have that kind of a thing that even like in Saudi Arabia, for instance, speaking, where there's a lot of money, for instance, this is like it's a scarce commodity that is, for the most part, if you do want to be with a woman, she has to be your wife. You can't have this 3-4 wives. You could have this luxury having multiple partners, female partners in your life, but you have to be married to them. You can't just be like, honey, you know what, tonight I'm going to sleep with the neighbor's daughter. Yeah, I just bought her yesterday a car, so she promised me in return for the next 5 years a night or two out of every week sexual company. And your wife is
Habibi, please go enjoy yourself. No problem. I love you. I love you. I know you love me. I love you.
Thank you very much, my beautiful wife. I will come back to you tomorrow, okay? Make sure your vagina is fully goldened up. No, it doesn't work like that. These are the high commodity things, drinking, sexual encounters, and I totally think that's actually the right system, because this is one thing I definitely do not want to afford, that whole thing where you want to have a free, open economy, where, a female is not, a man or a woman is not bounded by a monopoly channel, only one man, only one woman. And so when it's a free economy, you can really get people to bid on you. It's like, okay, whatever man is a richer man, you offer your vagina for him. That's what it is, Cutting this out, man. Be nice to people, man, because at the end of the day, it makes you feel better. Let's just say it that way.